Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably already noticed that this is not my normal place for recording videos. I've had to move to a different campus for a couple of weeks to teach classes, so I'm winging it. I'm jerry-rigged a place to film, and I'm also going to be trying out a new microphone, so we'll see how it goes. Now, friends, this is one of my new series called Spreads, Spreads, and More Spreads. And I've got a spread that I have developed and I've been playing with, and I'd like to show it to you and see what you think. I've based it loosely on the Chariot card of the Rider-Waite, well, of both the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Terre de Marseille decks, because they're very similar, right? There's a charioteer, there are two creatures pulling the chariot. So let me show you the spread, and then I'll show you an example of the spread. Actually, there are two spreads. I've got this chariot spread laid out in two different ways. So what you're going to see two different forms of the chariot spread, and then you will see an example of each of those two laid side by side, and then I'll flip the camera down and we'll dive into one of the spreads together. You ready to go? Let's take a look. Friends, we are back, we are pointed down, and we're ready to go. And I am using that new mic I just told you about. So let's see how this works. As you can see, we've got a very plain surface to work on, but I'm sure you will be able to bear with me. So this is the spread that I've worked on, and you know, I may not be the only one to have this kind of spread or a spread of this formation, but this is what came to me when I was looking for a spread. Sometimes when I want to find a new spread, I shuffle the deck and I ask the deck to tell me, to give me a card to inspire a spread. And so the deck gave me the Chariot card. And so I worked with that and I thought about it and I meditated on it. And what do we think when we think of the Chariot? We think of willpower, moving forward, progress, making things happen. We also think of two aspects of self, maybe the conscious and the unconscious, or the light and the dark sides of self, and wanting to get those aspects of self together so that we are all pointed in the same direction. Yeah, like when we see these two sphinxes in Pamela Coleman Smith's art. Yeah, there's the white sphinx and there's the black sphinx, and they're pointed in opposite directions, and so that symbol makes us think of wanting to bring aspects of mind to self, maybe the id and the superego together to move in the same direction. So that's why I've got these two different spreads that were inspired by this one card. And the first one that came to mind was that movement forward aspect. And so with that movement forward, I thought of the chariot in the center, and then this would be the direction we're moving to, and this is the direction we're moving from. Yeah? And we're doing this consciously. It's not just the whims of fate pushing us in one direction. This is the direction that we seem to be hell-bent on moving towards. Okay, that we want to move towards, and where we're coming from. So it's a little bit like a past-future spread, but it's more geared towards movement and in direction rather than time. Yeah? On the right, then I thought, well, yeah, but what about those two beasts, the dark beast and the light beast, which are not in all decks, surely, but in many decks. We'll have a light beast and a dark beast, and so I thought, well, maybe we could also consider what aspects of self we want to combine or want to be combined in order for us to move in the direction we want to go. So in that kind of spread, we could have 3 cards on the left representing one side, 3 cards on the right representing the other side. And I would allow the card in the center to guide us whether this side will be light or dark, or this side will be light or dark. You know what I mean? So for example, if your chariot has a dark beast on this side and a light beast on this side, I would flip these over. Now, if your chariot card has 2 beasts of the same color, then you can choose before shuffling. Choose before shuffling which side will be dark and which side will be light. Now you'll notice that I have the chariot card in the center of both of these spreads. So this is a very particular kind of way of laying a spread. Yeah, this is a way of laying a spread where we have a significator that we shuffle into the deck. We'll shuffle the chariot card into the deck, and then we will shuffle the deck, and then we will look for the chariot card, and the 3 cards before and the 3 cards after will lay in these positions or in these positions. Now, if you're used to that explanation is probably unnecessary and maybe confusing, but you've worked with that before, I'm sure, where you've placed a card, a significator into the deck and shuffled the deck and then looked for that significator and then chose the cards surrounding it. Right? So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to focus on this one here, if that's all right with you. If you want me to do another video on this one, ask me, let me know in the comments below. But I'm going to do a video on this side of the chariot spread because this is the first spread that asked to be laid, if that makes sense to you. It asked me to lay the cards in this way. So that's what we're going to do. Set this aside, and I'm going to shuffle the deck, and hopefully my tripod won't tip over. What is the question going to be? The chariot card is already in here. Yeah, the chariot card is already in here, and well, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should pull it out and do it from the beginning. Okay, so let me find the chariot card for you. And it is, of course, going to be somewhere that is... Now, which deck is this? Don't know if I mentioned it. This is the Light Seers Tarot. This is a deck that I'm very comfortable with using, a deck that I used as my assistant deck when I did my deep dive into the Tarot of the Holy Light by the beautiful Christine Payne-Towler. And so this spread is not based on, there we go. Okay, so like I said, in this deck, the dark horse is on the right and the light horse is on the left. So in that case, I would flip these, right? I would say that this is the dark side and this is the light side. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so what do we do? Before shuffling the cards the first time, we take out the chariot and say, this is the significator, right? And then we say to ourselves, what is the question? Well, my question is, I'm just going to do a very general one. Where am I going? What direction do I want to be headed in? That's a good way to go. Yeah, that's what I'm going to use as the question. The question is, what direction do I want to be headed in at the moment? So this is a spread that could be used fairly frequently, I suppose. Maybe once a month, maybe once a week might be a little much, but some of my other spreads I would say maybe once a year, but this one could probably be used more frequently. So the question again, what direction do I want to be headed in? So I pick up my deck, take the chariot card, slip it in, and begin shuffling. And my shuffle is just like this. What direction do I want to be headed in? What direction do I want to be headed in? What direction do I want to be headed in? Ooh, okay, so I'll just let that happen. Now, I'm concerned that This shuffling might be loud on this microphone. I hope it is not. What direction do I want to be headed in? What direction do I want to be headed in? The room's a little bit cold here, so my hands and the cards are just a little bit stiff. What direction do I want to be headed in? Of course, if you want to skip over the shuffle, be my guest. What direction do I want to be headed in? Oh, there we go, it's loosening up. What direction do I want to be headed in? What direction do I want to be headed in? So we're more than halfway through the shuffle. What direction do I want to be headed in? Oops. Okay, now you know I don't read jumpers in the way that other people read jumpers. I take a jumper as one that wants to be taken out of the shuffle, especially in this kind of shuffle, where I'm going to be looking for a significator later. So this wants to move itself out of position. What card is it? It's the Four of Cups. Interesting. Okay, so here we go. Last bit of the shuffle. Some people think of the Four of Cups as ennui, as boredom, as dissatisfaction, but it's also an emotional meditation. It's a stability and calm observance of emotions could be another way of perceiving that. Whereas the Four of Swords is a meditation in the sense of looking and observing our thoughts. The Four of Cups could also be a meditation of observing our emotional responses, which might not be all that fun a lot of the time, but that could be another way of looking at the Four of Cups. What direction do I want to be headed in? What direction do I want to be headed in? Here we go. Okay, what direction do I want to be headed in? Now, how am I going to look for the card? Well, there are different ways. You can do it this way, yeah, no, not there, no, not there, or you could flip it over and do it this way. Yeah, this is probably the most efficient way. So, but you get a little less surprise this way, right? So let's see, where's my Chariot card? Chariot, 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 Chariot. Do you remember the color of the background? Was it not a reddish brown color? The dark horse was on the right instead of the left. Okay, here we go. We're getting closer, I hope. I hope I didn't pass it up. Here we go. We're getting closer. I hope I did not pass it up. I think I see it. There it is. Okay, so here's my Chariot right there. So the three cards before, 1, 2, 3, right? And then the three cards after, 1, 2, 3. Lay these cards aside, these cards aside. You might combine these if you think you might want to pull extra cards. You might combine the deck right now. I'm not going to do that. I'm not even sure how much of it you can see. But so, now we got the three cards. The three before will be the 1, 2, 3. The three after will be the 4, 5, 6, right? So let me lay the card in the center. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I love that Hierophant card. 4, 5, 6. Let me try and get this a little. I'm going to stand up right now and see whether we are in. Oh gosh. Okay, so you can see my little post-it up there. My camera has shifted as I worked. Okay, so like I said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience with this roughshod setup. Okay, so basically, these are the cards. And you saw how we got them, right? So how am I going to read this? So this is where I'm going to, this is what I'm coming from. Let me start with what I'm coming from first. So I'm coming from a place of dissatisfaction, Seven of Pentacles, yeah, waiting for things to happen, the world. So perhaps now the way that I would like to read this is that cards 2 and 5 are the arrows, are where the arrow is pointing, right? So these cards are the main point with these two adding to it, if that makes sense. Because remember, this is not a positional spread so much. Yeah, these three cards speak to each other, and these three cards speak to each other, giving us a response to where am I going and where am I coming from. So this being the lead card, I would say this is added to by these two, and this is added to by these two. So where am I coming from? I'm coming from a place of waiting, yeah? Waiting for the harvest, waiting for things to grow, waiting for things to develop. The Seven of Pentacles, it's that card where in the material realm, also with health, but also with work and with finances, we're waiting. It's not ready time for the harvest. We've planted the seeds, we're waiting for them to grow. And we might want to be doing a little bit of pruning as well. That's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from that place of waiting for things to happen. And it's interesting here. Do you notice there's this worm moving up this root, and this root is being fed by the Seven Pentacles. So we've got nutrition going into the plant that we're waiting to grow. There's also a potential for something that could damage this plant, maybe. Or it could be a new plant ready to shoot off of the side. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not a bug. Maybe it's another shoot of this plant ready to burst forth. That's what it is. Okay. I think there might be a bug down here. I think there's a bug somewhere in this. It's not that important. So what I see here is waiting for things to grow, and there's a new thing about to happen, and that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm expecting. But in this place of waiting, I've got some dissatisfaction going on. Yeah, I've got some unhappiness. In fact, I've also, in this card, which is different from Pamela Coleman Smith's art. Now, in Pamela Coleman Smith's art, in this place, we've got a guy leaning on a hoe, looking at a bush with Seven Pentacles, waiting for them to be ready to harvest. Here we've got a man, looks like a man to me, could be a non-binary person, of course, looking at a plant fed by the Seven Pentacles and waiting for it to grow. Similar idea. Here we've got something a little bit more different. In Pamela Coleman Smith's art, we've got 3 cups that are knocked over, 2 cups that are upright, and the figure is not looking at the 2 upright cards. The figure is looking at the 3 turned over, and I think they're also cracked cups that are knocked over, and is feeling dissatisfied. In this one, we've got these vessels. There's one that's full behind her, right? And there's this one that she, I think, at least to my mind, has deliberately knocked over so that the contents spill into this vortex. She's deliberately trying to get rid of stuff, but notice she's also receiving. Yeah, as this liquid that she apparently no longer wants goes down this well, she's receiving the energy from it. So there's a little bit of that in this card as well. Yes, dissatisfied, unhappy, and deliberately getting rid of some stuff, but in that process also receiving some energy. So there's that side, but still dissatisfaction. Right? On the other side, we've got the world, completion. Yeah, a joyful figure passing through a liminal space of completion, ready for the next journey. And can you see how these two can feed the Seven of Pentacles? Yeah, in the Seven of Pentacles, we're sitting here waiting for stuff to happen, and we're a little bit not disappointed with the results so much, but we're disappointed with having to wait so long. Yeah, that having to be patient can be disappointing, can be a little bit frustrating, cause unhappiness. Even though we know that this is still there and we're just waiting for it to happen. But it's also fed by a sense of completion. Yeah, we've been through one cycle and we're ready for the new cycle to begin. So there's that balance of, like the chariot, yeah, these two horses of joy in the completion of one and ready for the beginning of the other, and still dissatisfaction because it hasn't happened yet. Right? So that's where I'm coming from. What am I going to? I'm going to opportunity, a new opportunity. It's interesting that we've got this balance here, right? We've got a lot of pentacles. We've got 1, 2, 3 pentacles. We've got 1 cup and 2 major arcana. We don't have any swords. We don't have any wands. Right? We don't have any of the active suits. Both of these are receptive, and we've only got one of the cups. The rest of it, it's all material, it's all health, it's all work. That's the direction I'm moving in. I'm moving from this to this. So it's the opportunity. What kind of opportunity? What kind of seed am I expecting to take root in the future? What am I going towards? Well, let's see. We've got a very interesting pair here. Now, the Page of Pentacles, the one who is the student of the material, the one who learns, who wants to investigate stuff and see how things work and see how things can be used. Yeah, you see that this figure, different from the card by Pamela Coleman Smith, who has a pentacle, a largish pentacle, in front of them, all dressed out in court finery for a young person in that era. We have a young person here in our era holding a coin, but a very, I want to say, craftwork kind of coin. It's like somebody has woven this coin. It's an intentional creation of beauty, of perhaps it reminds me of both weaving and it reminds me of mandala. Yeah, so there's that, and it reminds me of mandala because of where she's standing. She's standing on a mandala. She's standing poised on one leg, and she's holding this beautifully constructed, perhaps woven on a frame, disc. And she's there prepared. She's there balanced. She's there ready. She's not active yet, but she looks like she's ready to be active, right? And isn't it interesting that this world and this mandala seem to echo each other? Yeah, she is coming out of the world, perhaps, and ready to learn what to do with this thing. And then this dude on the right, for me, I hope it's the right for you, this dude on the right, who has the cross, the triple cross of the Hierophant from Pamela Coleman Smith's art, but also has so much more. We've got an Om here, we've got a Christian fish up here, we've got a pentacle up here, we've got references to many different religions. This guy is sitting in meditation posture, to me, one possible meditation posture. There is one like this. And in meditation, realizing the ladder up into connecting with the divine. You have the bright light up there in the divine, and this figure is at the base of that ladder, enlightened and ready perhaps to teach. This could also be the teaching position of this tradition. Yeah, but laughing in joy, laughing in exuberance of that joy of realization. Have you ever had that joy, the joy of realization at any moment, of that aha moment of that made you burst out in laughter? I think that's what I see here. Yeah, it's that aha moment with the student is what this pentacle is informed by. Now, this opportunity is informed by a realization of something and a prepare. Also, this is the teacher. This is the student. Yeah, combining the teacher and student self together is what will feed and what creates this pentacle of opportunity. That will still need to be fed. It's just the beginning, but that's where I'm moving towards. Does that make sense? Can you see that? That I'm moving from this place of a balance of dissatisfaction and happiness at completion as I wait for stuff to happen, as I prepare for things to be ready to be harvested. And I'm moving in the direction of the opportunity revealing itself in balance with this, my student and teacher self, my student who has moved through the liminal space of the world and has emerged as someone ready to learn, and perhaps also notice the seated figures here, right? Has moved from this place of disappointment, but fed by the energy of knocking over what was disappointing, being fed, and then perhaps moving into the place of realization. Aha, I get it. And being ready to teach from my experience. Does that make sense? Moving into this which feeds into this opportunity. So friends, this is one way of using what I'm calling my chariot spread. And again, there is another way of doing it, with the 3 cards on the left and the right being the dark side of the mind, the light side of the mind, the id, the superego, whatever you want to name these 2 horses as being the wild side and the hyper civilized side, your choice. Flip them around if you want, but do it before shuffling your cards. If you decide that the black side is the hyper-refined side, civilized side, and the white one is the wild and uncontrolled one, you do you, boo. That's great, but do it before shuffling the deck. Make the decision. Then put the card in the deck, shuffle the deck till you're ready, and then find the card and find the 3 cards before and the 3 cards after. Now, again, if you're doing this, you could choose differently. You could choose that number 1 to 3 should be on this side, 4 to 6 should be on that side. Again, it's all up to you. So friends, what do you think? What do you think of this spread? I was excited. I have been excited by using this spread as I prepared to show it to you in this video. I'd love to hear what you think. And can you tell I'm beginning to feel just a little bit more comfortable in the space that I am videotaping in? That's good, because I've got a very big video, large video to film tomorrow, and I will need all of my resources that I have available. But anyways, if you're interested in this spread, hit the thumbs up button. If you learned something, hit the thumbs up button. YouTube sees those thumbs up and says, let's bring more people to this channel. So it helps the channel. Also, if you would like to see me work with this spread in the dark lights version, let me know in the comments below and I will accommodate you. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. Yeah, I'm doing about 3 a week now. Sometimes I add a 4th. Also, if you want a private reading from me, my email address will be in the description box below. Send me an email and we can get you a reading. Pick a spread, pick a deck, pick a question, we'll get it done. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.